The 40-hour work week is an illusion. Now, listen, I'm here to inform you about the traditional workspace and how people think it's this great thing. But if you click this video, this obviously relates to you in some form or way, and you agree with the statement that the 40-hour work week is an illusion, or you're at least curious. Now, today I woke up, didn't sleep as well as normal, so I may be a little more pessimistic on this topic than usual due to my lack of sleep. But I want to be transparent. I want to be honest with y'all. One of the first things that entered my mind was like, I gotta go to work. Then I immediately reprogram my mind, change positive, be like, I get to go to work. I get to earn money. I get this opportunity, right? So you do want to look at things from a positive aspect, right? However, you do have to address certain things. And I think there's a reason why this thought came into my mind early in the morning. I'm like, they say you're more productive when you wake up early throughout the day, right? So throughout the day, you kind of lose kind of like your brain abilities, they say. So I'm like, let me just put this out to the universe and see who connects with this and who also relates to this and they can potentially change their lives. Now, first, I pulled up something here because I was curious about it. I'm like, the 40-hour work week is an illusion. What happens if I type it in on Google? What is Google going to say? So I type it in here and let's see what we have. Of course, Reddit, which is an amazing website. I've been on Reddit for years, just like looking at stuff, right? Because you get unfiltered opinion. So this is a thought that came into my mind, but I was like, what is the internet saying? So I entered it here. I said the 40-hour work week is an illusion, and this is what came up. Origins and mismatch. Popularized by Henry Ford in 1926 for factory line workers, the 8-hour workday and 5-day week capped physical exhaustion. Cognitive mismatch. Knowledge work requires deep focus, which research shows humans can only sustain for only a few hours. I swear, I did not read this before I started this video. So it's crazy how I was talking about how in the mind, when you wake up, those are like your prime hours. So me personally, I try to anything that involves the brain, whether it's studying Spanish, whether it's learning AI, etc. I try to do it early in the morning because that's when you like right when you wake up. That's when your prime brain is there. But you know what key factor is here is the year 1926. I'll tell you why. You can go down a whole rabbit hood matrix of this type of stuff. And one thing you're going to realize is that a lot of the formats to how we view the world, how we go about things, what we considered appropriate was done in the 20s and the 30s. Obviously, I'm too young to be alive at that time, but I just think it's intriguing. If you look at like the alcohol laws, if you look at the modern school system, the modern medicine, the modern education, what they deem is possible for the human body when it comes to weightlifting and working out, all this was set in the 20s and 30s. Now we're gonna go back to the 40-hour work week. I just got a quick little pivot, and it ties into this, and then we're gonna go back to the 40-hour work week here in a second. When you think of the modern breakfast, right, it was purposely shaped like that because there's a gentleman named Edward Bernays who got together with some of the higher ups in America, and they said we want to increase meat sales. So they purposely push bacon and all that stuff on you, sausage, as breakfast. It's not even healthy. And here we are over 100 years later, still eating like that. But what's crazy about Edward Bernays is he's related to Sigmund Freud, the psychology guy. But what's even crazier about that is both of them are related to the founder of Netflix. And if you don't believe what I'm saying, you can Google, you can fact check, you can verify. The founder of Netflix is related to this guy. So are we watching what we want to watch? Or are we watching what we told to be watched? But anyways, let's go back to the 40-hour work week illusion. The reason why I originally said it's an illusion is because you don't work 40 hours. Look at it like this. First of all, you got to wake up at a certain time. So you don't just teleport to work. You got to get up, brush your teeth, take a shower, whatever, change your clothes, haircut, whatever you do to prepare. Then you go to work, right? And they got something called rush hour. Why? Because you're rushing during those hours. And everyone else, coincidentally, well, majority of people, tend to be working during these hours. So normally it may only take you 15 minutes to get to work. But now that there's traffic, it may take you 35. Guess what? You also got to get back home because you got to sleep it. You can't sleep at the office unless you're that one Google employee who went viral for sleeping in the parking lot. You got to go back to work, right? And then here go my alarm right here. This is not even planned. This just shows because I got to go to work myself here shortly. Speaking of work, right? Um, so you got to drive back to work, and then there's something called lunch. You don't get paid during lunch. It's either going to be 30 minutes or an hour. If it's 30 minutes, you're rushing to do things. If it's an hour, it's just enough for you to get things done, but also not enough time to really do anything. So you got to go right back. So that's an hour that you're unpaid for lunch, maybe an hour driving to and from. You stack that on top of the 8 hours you're working, that's 10 hours. Then you got to think about the time you prepare to go to work. Maybe you got to wear a suit, maybe you got to brush your teeth, blase, miscellaneous stuff. So that's additional 3 hours. So now we're at 11 hours, right? Now you have to sleep. Typically, you may sleep 8 hours, but because your job is physically exhausting and you're being reprogrammed to sleep during certain hours instead of your desired hours, instead of 8 hours, it may take you 9 hours. So now we're at 20 hours a day with 4 hours remaining. But I digress. Let's go to the next thing here. Now, I told you how I typed in the 40-hour work week in illusion. This came up, right? The next question, it made me curious as I was like, well, how much money do you need to retire as an American? 1.46. And I'll be honest with you, I thought this number was a lot higher. I thought it was like 4 or 5 million you needed. Um, Me personally, I'm aiming for like 6 million, especially because money loses value over time. By the way, the younger you are, the more you need to increase this number. So when they say 1.6, they're talking about 2026. So if you're 64 and you're about to retire next year, if you have 1.6, according to them, you should be okay. Especially if you have some type of, maybe you got Social Security coming in every month or whatever. So these are for older people, right? I got audience from different demographics. So if you're younger, you're in your 20s, teens, 30s, whatever, you need to increase this number. So it says 1.46. So I was like, okay, imagine if I was 25 years old, right? I got a lot of 25-year-olds that watch me. So if you're 25, and let's say you're anticipating on retiring 40 years from now, which that number is actually going to increase. You're going to need more money or more. It's going to push back later. So before people retire at 64, 65, the number is actually going to increase, unfortunately, because due to inflation and economics. But anyways, let's just say you're 25. You want to fast forward 40 years. So I was like, okay, let me type in the next thing. I was like, in 40 years, how much is 1.46 million going to be? According to Google, in 40 years, 1.46 million cash will only have the purchasing power of roughly $447, $447,000. We don't need to, and then 660. Just round down or round up, just say 500,000. Your money is going to lose about a third of its value. Think about that for a second while I put this in the oven. Now, you're gonna want to multitask. Now you see how I'm cooking at the same time I'm talking to y'all and I'm preparing for work at the same time. You got to be able to multitask because the name of the game, the name of the objective is steal your time. How can these people steal your time? How can Henry Ford, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, the Murdochs, all these elite families that have so much control over the world, not your city, not your state, not your country, the world. And you can Google all these families. The name of the game is they want to steal your time. So how can we fight back? That's the question, right? We want to be able to control our time. Investing is one way. Now, if you look here, let me actually move this a little bit. There you go, better view. If you look here, you can see the main reason we're losing our purchasing power is inflation. Now, a lot of people, they hear investing, they hear inflation, and they hear economics, like, oh, They immediately get turned off. They're like, make me laugh. This is YouTube. I came here to laugh. I don't want to learn. You're going to learn whether it's here or 40 years from now when you're broke. But the sooner you learn, the better. So I say pay attention. Pay very close attention. These numbers that they gave here are conservative numbers. Conservative inflation. They're talking about 2% inflation, 3% inflation. Two, the real numbers are like 7%. So they're being conservative here, extremely conservative. Your money loses about 7% value every year. They're talking about 2 and 3% and all that. LOL. Anyways, so you're going to lose about a third of that value. So you want to aim for multi-millions, not 1.46 million. $1 million was a lot maybe 20 years ago. You say, oh, I'm a millionaire. Who cares? We're all going to be millionaires. If the younger you are, the more likely you are going to be a millionaire. If you're 18 watching this, you're probably going to be a millionaire. But the thing is, $1 million doesn't mean anything. The average house right now is about 400,000, 450,000 in the States. So if you fast forward 40 years from now, when everyone's paying $1 million for a house, it's not going to seem like a big deal. But anyways, next. So I said, how much does the average American earn in a lifetime? 1.7 million. However, you got to consider this is earning. This is not saving. And this is not, I'm assuming this is not with taxes because I said earn. I didn't say how much after taxes, right? So you mean to tell me you work your whole life to have 1.7 million? First of all, they're probably going to take at least 400,000 of that in straight taxes. You got to pay Uncle Sam. This is the name of the game. They developed the game. The name of the game is to keep the elites in power and us to be another numbers. So you give them 400,000, and guess what? Once you do the math, that equals roughly 1.46 million. So you mean to tell me your whole life you worked from the moment you turned 16 years old until retirement age? And the amount of money you earned in that entire lifespan is exactly what you need. However, this is how life works. No one's saving all that money. You gotta live. Don't you want a car? Don't you want a place to stay? You don't want to live in a cardboard box. You obviously got to eat food, which is not free. You may have a girlfriend, boyfriend, sister, cousin. You buy them gifts. You look out for them. You got less people are having children, but you may have children, right? You may want to get clothes, right? You don't want to wear black $3 shirts from Walmart all day, every day. So it's just crazy. It's just an illusion. But what do y'all think, though? I'm curious to know y'all's opinion. Are y'all comfortable, like, just sitting back and be another number? Do you want to fight back? I feel like we need to develop some type of new system. It's just crazy.